This lovely stitch has a story. If you're curious, follow the link in the description to read it. That same link will lead you to the written instructions for the stitch pattern, and in the video I'll show you how to work every stitch of every row to make adorable hearts that are stacked one on top of another. The panel with hearts is worked over 10 stitches. To make the panel more prominent in your knitting, add 1 or 2 purl stitches at each side of the panel. For my test swatch, I cast on 14 stitches, 10 stitches for the panel, 1 stitch at each side of the panel, and 1 salvage stitch at each side of the work. We'll start with the setup row that's worked on the wrong side, on the purl side of the panel. And here's how we do it. So I work the salvage, and then I work the reverse stockinette stitch that's at the side of the panel, and then we get to the panel itself. Purl 5 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's half of the panel. Then make 3 yarn overs. So you wrap the yarn 1, 2, 3 times, and then purl the remaining 5 stitches of the panel. 3, 4, 5, and I knit the side stitch and I purl the salvage. Turn your work. Now we are ready to start working on the panel itself, on the main pattern repeat, because that was just the setup row. The first row, I slip the salvage and purl the side stitch, and here's the panel itself. So knit 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, then knit 2 stitches together, and these are the stitches that are before those 3 yarn overs. See, I have my yarn overs here, so that's a bit of a mark for you. So we knit 2 stitches together, then make 3 yarn overs again, 1, 2, 3. Now we drop all the yarn overs we made in the previous row, so we drop all those 3. So it's gonna get messy, but that's okay. Make an SSK decrease. That's the slip, slip, knit, but I will make it the easy way, so I will only slip 1 stitch, place it back, and then knit 2 stitches through the back loop. At this point, because we have this loose strand here, make sure when you slip stitches you don't really pull on the stitch, because it will make the stitch bigger. It's not a big deal, you can always pull the strand to kind of adjust the size of a stitch, but to make it look nice right away, don't pull on the stitch too much when you slip it, okay? So we made the SSK decrease, the slip, slip, knit, and we knit the remaining 3 stitches of the panel. Now I work the side stitch and the salvage, and row 1 is done. So we have this strand sticking out, and that's okay, let it be there. And in fact, we'll add more strands to it in just the next row. Row 2, it's worked on the wrong side of the panel, on the purl side of the panel. So I slip the salvage, knit the first stitch, that's the side stitch, and now I got to the panel. So purl 4 stitches. So basically we'll purl all stitches to those yarn overs. See, I purled 4 and I have my yarn overs right here. Now make 3 yarn overs again, 1, 2, 3. Then drop all yarn overs made in the previous row. So we are adding another strand to these yarn overs, and purl the 4 stitches that are left in the panel. 3, 4. Now I knit the side stitch and I purl the salvage. Turn your work. That's how it looks right now. So we have strands, so it's quite messy, but like I said, it's okay. We'll deal with those strands in just a few rows. Row 3, it's worked on the right side of the panel. You see the knit side. So I slip the salvage, purl the side stitch, and now we've got to the panel. Knit 2 stitches, 1, 2, then knit 2 stitches together, just like we did in the first row, 2 stitches together. Then make 2 yarn overs, 1, 2, then drop all yarn overs made in the previous row. So I'm going to just letting go of all the 3 yarn overs. Now make the slip, slip, knit, decrease, slip, place, and knit 2 stitches through the back loop, and then knit 2 remaining stitches of the panel. I purl the side stitch and I purl the selvage. And that was row 3. See, it's getting worse. So now we get 3 strands here hanging, and that's okay. Let them sit there for just 1 row, and in row 5 we'll deal with them. But before we get there, row 4, wrong side of the work, slip the selvage, knit the side stitch, and here we come to the panel. Purl 1 stitch, and now we're gonna make something interesting. That's gonna be a left slanting purled decrease, and that's how we do it. Basically, you can purl 2 stitches through the front loop, through the back loop, sorry, but that's a bit tricky. So you have to insert the needle like that, and I frankly don't like that way because it's not comfortable. Here's another way to make a decrease, exactly the same. Purl 1 stitch, then keeping the yarn at the front of the work, make sure it's at the front, return this purl stitch back to the left needle, then insert the tip of the right needle into the next stitch and pass it over the purl stitch and off the needle like this, and then place the purl stitch back to the right needle because we already purled it, right? We don't need to work it twice. And that's it. That's your decrease. Now we've got to our yarn overs, and that means it's time to make another set of yarn overs, and it's going to be 2 yarn overs in this row. So we make 2 yarn overs and drop the 2 yarn overs we made in the previous row. Now purl 2 stitches together and purl the remaining stitch of the panel. Knit the side stitch and purl the selvage. Turn your work. Now we've come to row 5. I'm going to get some more yarn. And this row is the row where the magic happens, where we turn all these messy strands into a lovely heart. Let's see how we do that. Slip the selvage, purl the side stitch, and here's our panel. So here's what we do. We knit 2 stitches together. Then another interesting thing we're gonna do, we cast on 4 stitches on the right needle, and we do it by doing the backwards loop cast on. So basically you make a loop like this. See, that's how it looks. And then you turn it some more and place it on the tip of the right needle and pull it. So that's our first stitch. Then you make the loop again, turn it some more, place it and pull it to adjust the size of the stitch. 3, and one more time, 4. So we cast on 4 stitches using the backwards loop technique. Now we let go of the yarn overs like we usually do. Then we collect all those 5 strands that we have hanging, so we kind of keep them together like this. Then insert the right needle under all the 5 strands like this. Then pick the yarn and pull it through, basically knitting under those 5 strands. Make a yarn over and then do it again. Insert the needle under the 5 strands, pick the yarn and pull it through like this. So we knit 2 stitches under the 5 strands that we had hanging, and that's what shapes our heart. Now cast on 4 more stitches, same way using backwards loop technique. 1, 2, 3 and 4, and we make a slip slip knit over the last 2 stitches of the panel. Isn't this stitch pattern fun? We're making so many interesting things, but that all of them help to create a lovely heart. And then I purl the side stitch and purl the selvage stitch. Oops, I slipped the yarn. Here we go. That was row 5. You can already see the shape of a heart, kind of, right? But with the more rows, these stitches that we cast on, they would form an arch. So it would look more like a heart and less like a just triangle. But it's gonna happen pretty soon. And in the next row, we'll make sure we work these stitches, plus in the next row we're gonna set up stitches for the next heart, and I'll show you what to do if you don't want to make the next heart, if you want to make just one heart, and that's gonna happen right now. As usual, slip the selvage, then knit the side stitch, and here comes the row 6 of the panel. So that's the wrong side row, as you can clearly see. We start with the purl 2 stitches together. So we purl the stitch of the panel and we purl one of the stitches that we cast on. We purl them together. Why we do that? To shape that arch that I was talking about. So this purl together will give you a nice shaping at the corner of that arch that shapes the heart. So we purl 2 stitches together, then we purl 3 stitches separately. So basically these are the remaining stitches that we cast on, 1, 2, and 3. And then we purl 2 stitches together again, and that's going to be one of the stitches that we knit through the strands and the yarn over that we made at that time. So we purl those 2 together. Then we make 3 yarn overs if you want to make the next heart. If you want, I'll show you what I mean. If you want the hearts to sit one on top of the other like this, then in this, the row 6 of the pattern, you will make 3 yarn overs over here. That's gonna be kind of a setup row for the next heart. Remember that setup row that we did at the very beginning? So that's gonna be same idea, but we do it together with finishing the shaping of the previous heart. If you want the heart just to be alone, just to be solo, then you don't make those yarn overs in between, okay? And the instructions in the pattern, they will tell you both ways. So right now I'm gonna show you how to do the pattern that you would like to continue to make those hearts. So for that you make 3 yarn overs again, and that's the setup. Then we purl 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we make that funny purled decrease again. So we purl 1 stitch, return it back to the left needle, keep the yarn at the front of the work at all times, it's really important, and then pass the 2nd stitch over the first one and off the needle, and slip the stitch to the right needle. Then we knit the side stitch and purl the selvage. And that's it. That's how we work hearts. And like I said, you can make them one on top of the other, or you can make them just separately. And when you do that, once again, that's how it's gonna look. And that's how we knit hearts. To make an even more elaborate pattern like this one, place little panels made of mesh stitch between the panels of hearts. That link in the description will lead you to those instructions as well. Thank you for watching this video and have a wonderful week. I'll see you next Thursday.